As you probably know, the For Honor Marching Fire expansion just dropped last week, bringing loads of new content, a graphical overhaul, as well as a substantial influx of new players. This new expansion seems to have finally put For Honor back on the map, meaning its status has been upgraded from dead to Jesus 2, because we've just witnessed a resurrection so shocking that even the Christians couldn't believe it. But here we are, at the rapture of the For Honor player base, and while there doesn't seem to be any marching going on, I can tell you from experience that this shit is fire.
Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend.
Starting with basic attacks, Shaolin has spooky fast light attacks, which when done in either side guard direction can be followed up with 2 extra pokes. Using this full triple light is really only useful when you're finishing off your opponent's last bit of health, otherwise it doesn't allow you to continue your chain, so you'll want to stick with 2 pokes or less in most cases, no pun intended. You can also combo out 2 lights, or 2 heavies, or most importantly infinite chain by alternating between the 2. At any point during your chain, besides a chain finisher, you can hold the light or heavy attack button to enter Chi stance, which will be the centerpiece of your kit. From Chi stance, you can do one of 5 things, each of which is useful depending on the situation. Firstly, you can light attack in any guard direction, either by letting go of the light attack button or pressing it if you're in heavy Chi stance, fuck. This light attack has a counter attack property, so if you match guard with your opponent's attack, it will block and hit through it. I wouldn't use the side guard lights outside of countering though, unless you want to hand your opponent an easy light parry, because a sloth throws faster light attacks. Trust me, I've seen it, and it's horrifying.
The three-toed sloths are pretty common in this area, and there is another species which is out here. Probably less common, that's a two-toed sloth.
Dude, that sloth is fucking losing it. Just look at him. He's going wild right now.
Wow, you're so beautiful. Mate, just want to give him a hug. Ah! Until they latch on like that! Ah, shit!
The top light attack is much faster though, and you bop your opponent's skull so hard they get flashbang for a few seconds, which can allow for a sneaky guard break or light attack. One thing I've noticed with Shaolin is that most people tend to dodge on reaction when they see your pokey stick light up, and the best way to take advantage of this is a heavy attack in either side guard. This will perform Shaolin's sidestep attack, which is an undodgeable that can also be performed from neutral, but can only be feinted from Chi stance, so keep that in mind. When you do feint the attack, you can find some success in a guard break if you're close and your opponent goes for the parry, or a light attack straight back into your combo. Also take note that this attack doesn't have iframes, meaning you can still get hit even though you're sort of dodging, so it's not quite as useful as, say, Kensei's sidestep heavy. Once you stop your opponent from dodging on reaction, you can press guard break and key stance to kick, and follow this with a free light attack, quick heavy unblockable, or sweep. The sweep is only useful if you want a quick break from fighting, or have multiple enemies to deal with, as it doesn't guarantee anything more than a light attack, which you can get from the kick anyway. The heavy unblockable following the kick is great for mix-ups though. It's fast, which means you can feint it and pretty successfully bait a parry, allowing for a free guard break, unless it's a goddamn Centurion. You can create the same mix-up with a top-heavy straight out of Chi stance, but this one is much slower and easier to react to. However, if you initiated Chi stance with a light attack, you can feint the top-heavy but still hold the heavy button to jump straight back into heavy Chi stance. Chi stance. Fucking hell. I usually follow this with a kick and unblockable. Lastly, don't forget to hold this stance and taunt your opponent when you're feeling frisky. Let your opponent know that you have the biggest peen in this fight. Being an assassin hybrid, Shaolin does have a deflect counter, which is a guaranteed heavy attack with hyper armor. What makes the deflect so useful is the ability to jump straight back into your attack chain following it, or even into Chi stance, so it's the perfect way to take back offensive control in a flash. And finally, we have Shaolin's zone attack, which comes out fast, but no faster than a light attack, so it's not terribly useful in duels. I would only whip it out if your opponent has been consistently parrying lights, that way if they parry your zone, it won't guarantee them a free heavy, and definitely be sure to feint the second and third attacks. But, are you ready for this one? Sometimes, don't feint them. As the name indicates though, it's still pretty useful for crowd control, whether it be clearing out some minions or just getting gankers out of your face. For the most part, Shaolin is an aggressor, but with Chi stance, he possesses plenty of counterattacking capability, making him a versatile hero and useful for multiple playstyles. I like to read my opponent while playing Shaolin and use Chi stance to counter whatever tendencies I notice, but besides that, there's always light spam, am I right? So that's pretty much everything I have to say for Shaolin. If you have any further questions, be sure to leave a comment, and hopefully I can get to it before the trolls do. Otherwise, thanks for choosing the Sloth as your Wulin master, and I'll have another guide coming your way as soon as possible, and also be streaming For Honor pretty frequently definitely over on Twitch if you want to come say hi and tell me how every individual already possesses this information. You cuck? Also, while I have you here, if you like podcasts and having a good laugh, be sure to check out the Outcrowd podcast featuring yours truly and 3 of my brothers. Not all by blood, but by love. Jesus, that sounded gay. We mostly talk about pop culture, things like new movies and video games, as well as crazy shit that happens in Florida, because who doesn't love bath salts? The best part is we upload a new podcast every Monday and have yet to disappear for a month like someone I know. I would apologize, but we both know I wouldn't mean it.
Just want to give him a hug.